This video is a comparison between the iconic atomic coffee machine here, it's been produced since the 1950s, and the Otto, which was produced for a short time in Australia by a guy called Craig Huron. There was a time when you couldn't get atomic coffee machines, and during that period a few forgeries came out, and somebody also invented their own take on the atomic coffee machine. And I'm going to do a comparison between the two, how long it takes to make coffee, the quality of the coffee, the differences between the two. The first very obvious difference between these two machines is the weight. The atomic comes in at just over 2 kilograms. The Otto, on the other hand, is a monster. I can hardly lift it with one hand, and gives an error on these scales because they only go up to 3 kilograms. The Otto weighs about 4 kilograms, which is very, very heavy. The other main difference, or very obvious difference between the two of these, is this is made out of aluminium and this is made out of stainless steel. You'll notice that the Otto has no filler knob on the side here. And the way you fill the Otto is quite clever. You take the jug away and undo the handle. On the Otto, you just lock the handle in there, turn it anti-clockwise and open up like so. On the Otto, you have to just fill to this bottom lip. So we're going to put exactly the same amount of water in both these machines to see how long they actually take to make a coffee. So when you fill that to that bottom edge, that corresponds to about a centimetre below the spout on the atomic. Let's put the water in, get the coffees on and see how long they take. Use this Sage grinder to fill this, the atomic group, and now we're going to use the big basket because otherwise it goes everywhere, it pours out and goes everywhere. Next up, we're going to tamp that coffee down. And you'll see once you tamp it down, the level of coffee is much lower. Now the Otto group is very different. First of all, it's spring loaded, so that stays in there. If we try and put the same amount of coffee in there, it's going to go everywhere. So I'm going to put it in, let the coffee go everywhere and scoop it out. You could actually just turn the time down here and you'd have less coffee coming out. Just a matter of frying these two up and seeing how long each one takes to actually make the coffee. Let's get the stopwatch going. Got both of these on the same heat source, and you want the hottest heat source possible without the flames licking up the side and burning the jug handles. Now on the Otto, it came with this little silicone mat here, and the idea of the silicone mat is put underneath there like so, so that you do not end up popping all the crema bubbles. Obviously in a commercial coffee machine you don't have the jug or the cup sitting on the actual hot body of the machine. That destroys crema. If you're using a grinder like this, we're just using coffee from a restaurant in Bristol, really nice organic fair trade coffee, but if you're using a grinder like this, it's a much finer grind than say the Lavazza Rosa, which we normally use, and therefore you're going to get a much better tasting coffee and a much more chance of getting a good crema on your coffee. Always use cold milk when you're frothing, you get a much better chance of getting a good silky froth. The machine came in a beautiful box and included the milk jug and 2 lovely espresso glasses, but what we're going to do is fill those up with boiling water from the boiling water tap, because you don't want to be pouring hot coffee into a cold cup. Using the espresso glasses that came with the Otto, and we'll be using a couple of cups with the atomic. These two are heating up. Just a couple more differences between the two of these. Obviously the heavier machine is going to take much longer to heat up than the lighter machine, plus the difference in materials. They're going to take longer to cool down and longer to heat up. It does say in the instructions of the Otto that if you want to make another coffee, you should really wait about 20 minutes for the machine to cool down a little bit. Now I don't know if I'm right in saying this, I may be completely wrong, but the Otto was designed with a specific mass, and the time taken to heat up that mass is exactly the right time to get the perfect coffee to come through it. So the weight of the machine does make a difference. When it comes to the Otto, there is just one version of the Otto. When it comes to the atomic, you can see up there the atomic. There are a variety of different shapes and sizes and a plethora of different badges. Atomic came either with a steam arm or without a steam arm, with a steam valve here or without a steam valve, different handles, slightly... The basic shape of the machine was always quite similar, although they did make a smaller Milano single shot Atomic, which is interesting. I bought one from eBay, and when it arrived I had no idea that they actually made a smaller machine. Now, there were a lot of people out there, especially the owners of the Atomic brand, that when replicas of the Atomic came out were not very happy with that, and I could totally understand why. The replicas were slightly different from the Atomic. They have different materials inside, different weights, etc. But with the Otto, we're not talking about a replica here. We're talking about, if you look at a classic car like a VW Beetle, this is your original VW Beetle. It works, it's functional, it looks beautiful. This is your modern VW Beetle with different brakes, etc., different fuel consumption and all of that stuff. So this was based on the Atomic but not trying to replicate to it, and it has some beautiful design features. The fact that you fill down there, the fact it works under higher pressure, you should in theory be able to get a better crema. The fact that you could move the steam wand up and down like this and actually touch it when the machine is on. These machine wands here, these steam wands here are fixed, and obviously if you touch that whilst making coffee, you'd never play the violin again. The Atomic coffee machine has always been known as the Atomic cappuccino maker, Atomic espresso maker. So if you were searching for one on eBay, you would type in Atomic espresso, Atomic cappuccino, Atomic coffee. People call them different things. The Otto was just known as the Otto and also as the little guy. So these are quite rare now, quite difficult to get hold of. I think when they came out, about $850. I think we probably paid about $600 for that second hand many years ago. The Atomics these days, it's very difficult to get a genuine Atomic in good condition. You can get all the parts and all the gaskets from Bond Trading in Oxford Street on Sydney. They're new, they are about $585 from the website. You can still get them new, they're handmade in Italy. These were made in China. See that the coffee on the Atomic is starting to come through already after just about 8 minutes, just under 8 minutes. I know from experience that the Otto is going to take much longer than that. So I'm hoping that we can probably make a coffee on the Atomic, get that steamed up and run through, and then move on to the Otto. I'm not sure, I've never done the two machines simultaneously, but we'll soon find out. So the coffee has just started coming through on the Otto now, and we're talking 8 minutes 43 seconds. Now that surprises me because I always thought the Otto took much longer to come through. We're getting a lovely, beautiful crema, at least beautiful for an Atomic crema on there. Just starting to hear the sound of the machine changing, which means that not a lot more coffee is going to come through. Over on the Otto, you can see that is a different type of crema on there. There's probably a little bit less water in there than normal. How was that? I'm going to just put a little bit of coffee in each of these cups. This is going to be a super strong coffee, actually. Steaming action like on the Otto.
A lot better than the
higher pressure.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So the steam wand on the Otto just has one hole in it. And as I say, you always put the same quantity of water in, whereas the Atomic, some people fill the jug right up and get a kind of Americano. Holy schmoly, that's hot. Whew. Obviously had that gas on the handle. Again, this is going to be a super strong coffee, but we're going to use all the coffee from both of them. As they say, you can sleep when you're dead. Now, a very good tip is on your Atomic is put water in the jug now, so when you come to use it next time, it's easy. Another important thing is when you finish steaming your milk, always open the steam valve and let any old steam out. Otherwise, the next time you come to make the coffee, it'll be all blocked up. And then just use the rough end of the sponge to clean down these steam ones. We steamed on the Atomic, and this is the Atomic coffee. normally there's a bit of a time delay between actually doing this, so normally you can get beautiful patterns, etc. on this, but if you wait for too long, the milk changes slightly and the crema disappears slightly as well. So none of these are going to be quite as good as they normally are in terms of, can we do the swan pattern or not? I'm sort of gone quiet on there. So now we're ready for the coffee taste off. Finish about 13 minutes. So here goes. It's all right. Ooh. Would it be fair to say that that has a smaller quantity of milk in it than these here? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's stronger. Which do you prefer?
The Otto.
You prefer the Otto. So the girl from Del Monte, she's saying yeah to the Otto. It's probably fair to say that the Otto, because it works under higher pressure, is going to make a better coffee than the Atomic. Having said that, if you were going on a camping trip, which would you prefer to take? I'd probably prefer to take the Atomic. It's easier to carry, less weight. This is slightly fiddlier in terms of making coffee. It's not as easy to make a second coffee if you need to. Often when you go camping, you've got a whole queue of friends who want a beautiful Atomic. I'm not sure I'd be wanting to put that on an open fire. I'm not even sure if you put that on an open fire whether you could make a decent espresso. Whereas on the Atomic, if you look at some of the other videos, when we go to Australia, we often make our coffee on an open fire. So both of these machines are wonderful. Obviously, I'm a little bit of an Atomic fan. I love the machine. I think it's iconic. I think the Otto did a superb job in improving on it. And if you're at home in a nice kitchen with a good gas source and you're worried about getting Alzheimer's from the aluminium of an Atomic, there you go, there's your solution.